Changing your mind is a good thing. I was immediately turned off by the vibe of Beep, a retro video game store I visited today in Akihabara, and that's because there's a version of descending down into a basement full of video games that's like very punk rock, and this was not very punk rock. I was immediately greeted by this line of dudes waiting to look at the Super Nintendo games, and I was like, I don't need to see those. I'm just going to break off course and look elsewhere, and learned very quickly that Beep rocks. Using my made-up rubric for reviewing every single retro game store in Tokyo, selection at Beep gets an 8 out of 10. A lot of the stores, especially in that area, just kind of throw everything at the wall to see what sticks. You know, they'll just like stock every single video game you can imagine and just hope that people buy them, but Beep has a relatively limited selection, but it's like all bangers. I love when a store has a point of view. Pricing at Beep also gets an 8 because I was really surprised at how reasonable the prices were given how limited the selection is, and the real star of the show in this store is the hardware. Their selection of handhelds in particular is amazing, and while I initially hesitated to buy a Game Boy Micro while I was there on my first visit, I ended up just going back the next day and buying it, and I'm so glad I did, especially after seeing what the market price for a complete in-box unit is online these days. Yikes. Also, if you're a Pokemon fan, I think Beep has the highest quality cartridges for the lowest prices that I've seen in Tokyo, at least on this trip. Vibe at Beep gets a 7 out of 10. It's really crammed in there, and there's usually a lot of people. Honestly, a lot of those points just come from how great the staff is. Like, they were as stoked as I was that I was buying a Game Boy Micro, which was really cute. I'll award a bonus point for this copy of Twilight Princess they had behind glass that I was dangerously close to buying, which gives Beep in Akihabara 24 points out of the maximum 31. Beep changed my mind in a big way. I really went from, I think I'm not even going to make a video about this place, to the longer I stay here, the more likely it is I'm going to buy a bunch of stuff. Worth a visit.